For me, the movies are like a machine that generates empathy. It lets you understand hopes, aspirations, dreams, and fears.
Well, I saw the film for the second time last night, and I have to say I just loved watching it again. I just didn't want to leave. I didn't want the film to end.
I am so happy to hear you say that, because there's this sort of unwritten rule in filmdom that documentaries have to be a certain length shorter than a narrative feature film, and this is about the same length, and I'm glad that you had that experience of watching it and not wanting it to end.
At the LA premiere, you had a chair reserved for Roger in the front of the theatre. When did you start doing that?
No, I haven't been doing that, but I had been thinking about it, because in Roger's last few weeks, especially, of life, we didn't know it was his last few weeks. Perhaps he knew. He would always tell me, no matter what you do, just picture me in the front row, because he said, I'm going to be in the front row cheering you on. And I think about that, and that gives me inspiration. It gives me courage when I have to speak in front of a large crowd. And I imagine him sitting there.
You've shown the film at many festivals with many different audiences. What are the things you're getting out of it each time?
You know, it's changing for me. In the beginning, like the first full screening was at Sundance, and it was just such a relief to know, number one, that it was a good film. Number two, I had my family with me, my daughter, my granddaughter, grandson, my son, and it felt like the audience was breathing all in unison when we were watching the film. People were laughing together. People were sobbing together. You could feel that people, the Sundance experience was great, just like the experience at Ebert Fest, at the Roger Ebert Film Festival. It was so special because these are people who knew Roger, especially at Ebert Fest, who had been coming to the festival for 15 years, who so wanted to see him on screen, and when they saw him, they were not only happy to see him, some of them were shocked, because even though they had seen Roger for 15 years, he had gotten a bit more frail.
This morning I confess that I am a sick person. 3 years ago, I felt a lump under my chin, and it turned out to be cancer.
Sometimes I see it, and it's so painful. It just goes right to my heart, and I can't watch it, and I cry, and I just can't. Sometimes I see it, and I laugh, because the stuff with he and Gene Siskel is so funny. It's hilarious.
Sound a little excited, Jane. Sound less excited, Roger.
Those two were natural comedians together, the kind of chemistry they had. Sometimes I see it, and I am so profoundly grateful that Roger had the time to be this lovely, lovely grandfather to our grandchildren. They loved him so much, and we used to take them on trips, and we had just, family life was so important to him. He was an only child. He, even though he had dated, he was even engaged a few times, I think he was yearning for this kind of home life, and I think that he was secure, that my love for him gave him a security that you can see. And his love for me gave me a security. Our love for each other, we transformed each other.
That must be what's so hard about this film. As much as it's a celebration, it also relives so many painful memories for you.
The way the camera is trained on me in the hospital when Roger is revealing to Steve, James, the director, that Roger's cancer has occurred. And I'm sitting there like pent up, because I was ready to go into my warrior mode and save him again. But you know what? He was at a point in his life when he was ready to go. He didn't want to fight cancer again. And I understood that deep down at some point, and he told me, you must let me go. And when I see that, all the different emotions I experience.
There's one scene I just find so emotional, the scene where he is coming back home and it's shot from behind, and he's trying to get up the stairs. And there's everything in there, the frustration of not being able to write, communicate with your wife, and also the illness and the toll it took on him.
And then the thing that modulates that scene is just a few seconds later. He's in the house, he's in his chair, I'm showing him the Valentine branches that I had made for him to come home, because he actually came home on Valentine's Day. And then he's upstairs in his chair and he's happy to be home. He has all of his stuff, because he wouldn't let me clean up around the area. He wanted everything right at so he could reach it. And he was watching a movie and he was just happy again. Even though he was watching the movie with Charlie Sheen and he was saying, "Give it up, Charlie." He didn't think the movie was so good. So, but it's a lot, and it really is life itself.
She changed his life immeasurably. She changed his personality. Hey, I was 8 months pregnant and Roger grabbed the cab in front of me in New York. It's not that kind of guy now.
What do you think it was between the two of you that was just so magical? I mean, you both came from very different backgrounds.
I think it was some sort of, this is going to sound, I'm not going to even say how it's going to sound, because this is what I really do, but think. I think there was some divine intervention. I think there was a reason and a purpose for us to be together. I think we were probably together in another life before this, because the kind of bond we established together is hard to establish in one lifetime. I think we were just kindred spirits who, when we saw each other, we got it, that this was going to be my mate. I don't mean like the first date, thunderbolt, fall in love kind of thing. I think at some point we realized that this was something bigger than both of us.
You want to rest a little bit or work a little bit?
Ask Steve, he's the director.
And he told me to tell Steve, focus on the man, not the icon. Do a warts and all portrayal. And I think Steve did that. And what I hope people do is to go see it in a theater with other people. Roger was a community builder, and to see it in community, in a theater with other people on a big screen is, I think, the best way to see it.